Passionate, driven, enthusiastic, euphoric. This is who we are as entrepreneurs. But how we leverage these incredible attributes to dream and build businesses that scale and grow is what this podcast is all about. Hello, I'm attorneypreneur Josh Brown, and welcome to Franchise Euphoria. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Franchise Euphoria, the podcast where we are focused on providing strategy, education, and consulting to the incredible and growing franchise community. Welcome, everyone. Josh Brown here. Hope everyone is doing fan-freaking-tastic.
Hey, everyone. It's Dee here. The number one question that Josh is always getting asked is what's hot in franchising. It's asked so often that I think the answer deserves a replay.
Today's topic this week is what's the hottest franchise, or what are the hottest franchises and why it doesn't matter. And I'm going to dive into that topic here in a minute, but I just wanted to start off by saying I had the opportunity this past Friday to present at a really great conference. It's called the Bench Bar Conference, and it's all attorneys and judges from Indiana, and they get together once a year, and had the opportunity to present on how you find passion in the law, and then turn that passion, or turn those areas that you find interesting in the law, become proficient in them and turn them into a practice. That's something that I've, over the last several years, have been pretty intentional in trying to do. And I continue to try to do that each and every day. And I've had the opportunity and had a number of people who have reached out to me, oftentimes younger attorneys, but sometimes not so younger attorneys, people who've been practicing for 10 years or longer, who have kind of felt stuck in a position. And the neat thing about the presentation was it was certainly a message that was crafted to the legal profession, but it's a message that I think resonates across the board with people in every profession. And one of the things that I want to get across through this podcast is it's not just about buying a business and making money, or buying a franchise and making money, or turning your business into a franchise and making money. It's about doing it in a way that works well with your own lifestyle, that works well with your own goals and what you want to try to achieve through your life. And I think it's really important not to lose sight of that, because at the end of the day, you can be very, very successful in a lot of different businesses. But if you're not happy along the way, if you don't find satisfaction in what you do, you're just going to be miserable and cranky. And we just don't need more miserable and cranky people. So in any event, it was a great presentation. I really enjoyed delivering that kind of message. And I think it's applicable to people in all walks of life, as we're all out there trying to find the work that we love, and trying to do our own part to make a difference, to make a living, and to see our vision through. And there's a great quote by Socrates I think ties in well to the topic today, and that is to find yourself, think for yourself. And the question I get asked most often with regard to franchising, when people find out I'm a franchise attorney, is, what's the hottest franchise? And it's sort of an interesting question. I kind of chuckle at it because, whenever anybody asks me that, I always say, well, it's kind of interesting that the latest statistics show that 1 in 9 employees work for a franchise. 1 in 9. So franchising spreads across the entire economy. And so I say, think about that question that you just asked me. It's the equivalent of coming up to me and saying, so what's a hot business? Well, there's lots of hot businesses out there, just like there's lots of hot franchises out there. the important question to ask instead of what's the hot franchise is, what is it that I'm interested in? What is it that I like to do? What is it that I find joy in? What is it that I can do over and over and over again through the course of a day, a month, a year, and really find great satisfaction in? And how can I become good at it? And how can I leverage my experiences from things I've done in the past, work experiences, maybe volunteer experiences, maybe just experiences through life as you've grown up, and how can you leverage those into thinking about a business or a franchise that's gonna suit you the right way, that's going to sit well with you. That's something that you can see and really have that vision for where you're going to go with it. And then, of course, you need to ask yourself on the practical side, what kind of money do I have to invest in a business, into a franchise? And so there's a whole list of questions that you need to ask yourself. But the first question you should never ask yourself is what's hot in franchising or what's hot in business. You should not be moving towards what's hot. You should be moving towards what works well for you. And that's why the title of today's episode is What's Hot in Franchising and Why It Doesn't Matter. Because I can sit here and tell you that, I think the latest statistics show that if you look at the highest average per sales unit for the restaurant space, you have Chick-fil-A, number one. I think they do somewhere around, the average sales per unit is somewhere around 2.6 million per store. Then you have McDonald's close on their heels at like 2.4 million for the average sales per store. And then you've got Jason's Deli, which is kind of surprising. I don't know if many of you may not have even heard of Jason's Deli. We have several of them in the Indianapolis area. But they surprisingly do really well as well, and they come in third. But who cares, right? I mean, that's all well and good if that kind of a franchise is right for you. In fact, those numbers become very, very important at that part. But who cares if you're at the outset of trying to figure out what franchise you want to buy or what business you want to go into? You never start by trying to find what's hot. You always start by taking a look at yourself and the skills you bring to the table. I mean, if you grew up working in the restaurant space and you've worked as a server and as maybe a cook or a dishwasher, and now you've managed a restaurant for the last 10, 15 years, well, yeah, I'd say it's a pretty good chance that you can leverage those experiences into looking at a franchise or into starting your own type of restaurant. But it's way further down the equation that you would start looking at, okay, what's a good one to invest in? You first have to go through the process. And I think that's the bigger picture of this particular episode is, don't short circuit the process and don't short circuit your own experiences and what you bring to the table. I mean, you must, as Socrates says, you must think for yourself, right? Because that's really where the magic happens. If you just go into a business that you're just looking for the money, you're never really going to be happy. And the money may come, it may not come. But you have to leverage your interests and your experiences and the realities of the kind of capital that you have to invest and so on and so forth, and then find the franchise or the business that works well for you. So, that's what I would encourage you to do on this episode. For all of you out there who are, stuck maybe in a corporate job that you're trying to get out of, or maybe you're approaching retirement age and you want to look for other opportunities, I would really encourage you to not fall into the trap of going online and trying to research what's hot, what's the best this, what's the best that. until you've taken the time to figure out really what you want to do and what you can see yourself doing for whatever, season in life you're in, right? Because it's going to be different for you if you're a recent college graduate and you're having a tough time finding a job, and maybe you have resources that now you can invest in a business. Well, it's going to be a little bit more challenging at that young age for most people to have a clear picture of what they want to do. And so it's a different analysis than it is for somebody who's maybe been in the workforce for 20, 25 years, who's developed certain skills, who's developed certain areas of expertise, and who hopefully has a clearer, if not a perfectly clear, picture of what it is they want to do, and perhaps more importantly, what it is they don't want to do. I mean, those are really the people that are putting themselves in the best position for success. And it's not to say that as a younger person, you can't have that. But I think if you're a younger person listening to this and you're thinking about buying a franchise, investing in a franchise, starting a business, I think you really need to get crystal clear on what it is not only you're trying to do, but why it is you're trying to do it. Don't just chase after the money, even though we all know money is a huge part of it. I mean, we're in business to make money, but just thinking about the money and just thinking about what's hot now is really a short-sighted vision that usually doesn't lead to long-term success. Hopefully this was helpful for you today. If you are in the market for a franchise, I would highly encourage you to check out my free ebook, which is What to Know Before You Buy a Franchise. You can head over to my website at that's INDY, franchiselaw.com, and download it there for free. And let me know what you think. If you're enjoying this podcast, if you're enjoying the value that you're getting from this podcast, I'd also invite you to go to iTunes and provide me with a rating and review. It always helps for visibility on the podcast. So thank you so much for your support, and hope this episode was helpful to you.
Thanks for being with us today on the Franchise Euphoria podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go to iTunes and provide a review. Also, please remember that although Josh Brown is a licensed and practicing attorney, nothing contained in this podcast should be construed as legal advice, because it is not. The information contained in this podcast is general and educational in nature, and none of it should be relied upon as legal advice. That being said, if you have questions for Josh and would like to contact him, please email him at josh@franchiseeuphoria.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you tune in to our next weekly episode.